Hello everyone, so we are back again with another video on the lecture series for the theory of Raman effect, and in this video we are finally going to derive the elements for the polarizability tensor. So let's first consider a system. uh, let's take for example our favorite example, the hydrogen molecule consisting of two hydrogen atoms. And so the Hamiltonian for the system will, uh, in absence of any other external influences, will be given by the kinetic energy of the nuclei plus the kinetic energy of the electrons plus potential energy due to electron-electron repulsion plus potential energy due to electron-proton attraction, electron-nucleus attraction plus the potential energy due to nuclear-nuclear repulsion, and this will be summed over two electrons. So in absence of any external influences, our unperturbed Hamiltonian looks like this, and this has its own set of stationary eigenstates, which are, let us call them n. In this is just the psi of r. So now suppose this hydrogen molecule is aligned along the z direction with reference to some coordinate axis. So if this is z, x and y, so this will be x, this will be y. And suppose the electric field, now we apply an electric field along the z direction, a static electric field. So what this electric field is gonna do is, if that molecule has an permanent dipole moment, then the electric field will interact with that dipole moment, and now our Hamiltonian, suppose let's name this as 0, our Hamiltonian will consist of H0 plus an interaction term between the dipole moment and the electric field. And we know from electrostatics that the potential energy given by that interaction of dipole and electric field is just the mu vector, mu dot E, where mu is the dipole moment of the molecule. Now suppose the molecule doesn't have any permanent dipole, then the electric field is going to induce a dipole, and as we saw, then the molecule is said to be polarized, and then the polarization is given by such relation. So here is our modified Hamiltonian. Yeah, so let's give this symbol to differentiate it from the energy that we will be using. So now our Hamiltonian is the initial Hamiltonian plus some perturbation. This is our present Hamiltonian. So we learnt in the previous video about the Hellman-Feynman theorem, which states that the change of energy of a system with respect to a parameter on which it depends is just the expectation value of the Hamiltonian, derivative of the Hamiltonian with respect to that parameter, in the eigenbasis of the unperturbed Hamiltonian. So here, now suppose we take this electric field. So suppose we take this electric field as the parameter, and now what we do is, keeping the hydrogen molecule along the z-axis and the electric field along the z-axis, we now change the magnitude of the electric field. So we increase the magnetic field, or decrease, or maybe doing some variations in the magnitude of the electric field, and we want to know the change in energy that will occur due to this change in the static electric field magnitude. So this will be our expectation value of, so we substitute h, this expression for h in place of h, and for p this will be replaced by the static electric field. So this plus del, let's say if this is h1, the perturbation, so this will be h1 del E. So now, as you see, our initial Hamiltonian H0 doesn't have any dependence on the external electric field. It's just the internal interactions within the molecule. No term. There is no term with the interaction with some external influence. So the derivative of this Hamiltonian with respect to an external electric field, this should be 0, and what we are left with is this one. And if now we said that we are applying the electric field along Z and the molecule is also aligned along Z, so any dipole moment, permanent or if not present, the induced dipole moment will be along the Z direction only. So this will be just, this is just going to give me, so minus mu dot E vector will just be minus of E into Z into E, where this E is the magnitude of the electric field, and the E into Z because the dipole moment is given by a charge into the magnitude of the separation between the charges. So this expression will be del del E of minus E Z E, and this is just, so Z and E are independent of E, and so we'll get minus E into Z, or we can also write it as mu Z, expectation value mu Z. So as we see from Hellman-Feynman theorem, we obtain that in presence of the electric field, the dipole, if we vary the static electric field, then the energy is going to vary according to the expectation value of the dipole moment of that molecule. So now what we do is we expand the energy term as a Taylor series about when the electric field was 0. So our energy is the energy when electric field is 0 plus energy, derivative in energy with respect when electric field equal to 0 multiplied by the field plus second order, there will be 1 by 2 factorial 2 equal to 0 e square 1 by 3 factorial del cube E del E cube when E equal to 0 E cube and so on. So okay, so let's name these equations. Let this be 1, be 2, and now we take the derivative of this energy with respect to the static electric field, the variations in the static electric field. So what I mean by static electric field is that the electric field doesn't have any time dependence till now. Okay, so we are just trying to get an expression, uh, some expression when this electric field is varied. So this will be, now this derivative will, this is a constant when electric field is not is equal to 0, so the derivative of this one is going to give me 0. Here only the first power occurs for E, and the derivative is will just be this term, so t equal to 0 plus 1 by 2 factorial. Now there won't be 1 by 2, as when we take the derivative this will just be 2e, 2 cancel, and this will give me d2e, d2 evaluated at e equal to 0, e plus, here also similar thing happens, so this will be 1 by 2 d cube e, d cube e equal to 0, e square, and so on. There will be higher powers. Now what we can do is, we know that this is our expectation value of the dipole moment or the dipole moment. So, oh sorry, there will be a minus term. Yeah, so here there will be a minus term. So here also we have a minus. So mu z will be negative of this derivative, and it's just given by this. Uh, so derive with me, and you'll get the feel of it. Higher order terms, let's name this 4. So now what we can do is we can try to express this uh, dipole expectation value of this dipole moment in terms of the dipole of the molecule, dipole moments of the molecule. So this can be written just as the permanent dipole of the molecule plus the induced dipole moment, first induced dipole moment, plus the second order induced dipole moment, and so on. So what I mean by this is that the dipole moment of the molecule in presence of an electric field will be just the dipole moment present already in the molecule plus the induced dipole moment when it encounters an electric field plus higher order dipole moment. So these kind of terms are called the, as we see that these are called polarizability, polarizability. These are called hyperpolarizabilities. And similar meanings are there just like this one. Yeah, so this is just the electric field induced along the z direction due to electric field the dipole moment induced along the z direction due to the electric field along z. So the, as we know that the dipole moment induced along the z direction has contributions from all these components and alpha yz. That is the electric field dipole moment will be induced along z due to electric field along z, x and y. But since in our initial model we considered the electric field also to be along the z direction only, so for now there won't be these terms, and in this expression the first order induced dipole moment is only going to result from the polarizability of this component zz. So now comparing these two terms, we can see that we can relate mu 0 z equal to minus dE, okay, it's not visible, minus dE epsilon equal to 0, and alpha zz equal to the second order derivative d2e dE2 E0. So what we are doing is just we are just comparing these two power series, and as I explained in the perturbation lecture, so we can compare the similar powers in the power series. So yeah, now we are maybe you can feel what we are going into. Now what we do is, let's take a new page. So yeah, now what we do is we consider the perturbation theorem, but we derived the energy values in the perturbation lecture. So the energy due to a perturbation, so it's not focusing, yeah, energy due to the perturbation was expanded like the unperturbed energy plus the first order corrections plus the second order correction. M0, this will be M0 H1 N0. Okay, and this will be En0 minus Em0. So, and there will be higher order terms. Now what we do is we compare this yeah, so instead of H1 we now substitute the our perturbation. So H1 was just minus mu z in this case, so minus mu z, that is z into minus mu z e. This was our perturbation. So energy will be E0 plus N0, sorry, minus N0 mu z N0 E plus plus summation m. Here also z will get substituted, mu z, and e will come out from both, so that will be e square into N0 H1 M0 and M0 H1, oh not H1, sorry, it should be mu z N0, and this is just En0 minus Em0 plus higher order terms. So you see, we can now compare this expression with this expression. These are both the power series. Okay, so how should I put this? Yeah, so look at these two expressions. So this is similar to this series, and this is just another way of writing this one. So we compare the same powers of the electric field, and what we'll see is that this one is same as this one, that is, this is just the derivative of electric field in E. And what we saw here it's just negative of mu 0 z, so this is mu 0 z, and for E square this is the same as this. Yeah, so this is just 1 by 2 d2e dE2 evaluated at equal to 0, which is nothing but alpha zz, 2 times, which is just 2 times alpha zz. Yeah, because alpha zz was only this. This is minus, yeah, okay, so this is just minus of 2 times alpha zz. So what we see, and this is nothing but half times alpha zz. So what we see is that mu 0 z, like dipole moment when in absence of an electric field, is just the first order correction, just the expectation value of the dipole moment, and alpha zz is, oh, this was mm, minus of minus 2 times summation of m n0 mu z m0 m0 mu z m0 added by en0 minus em0. So this is the expression that we have been searching for from the past three lectures. So nothing special. It seems like it's not that special, but okay, let's first evaluate this one. So what's this? This is nothing but mu z is just e into z. So this turns out to be z n0, and this is just the expectation value of z in the eigenbasis of the previous undisturbed Hamiltonian. So this kind of expectation value takes the transforms to z. Similarly, this kind of equation, these kind of expressions also, so you can think of this like it transforms like this thing. Okay. So suppose it wasn't alpha zz, it's suppose xy, then it will be x into y, expectation of x into expectation of y. In some sense, I'm not saying that it's exactly this, but you can think of it like this. So okay, relating to this thing, this expectation value. So some of you who have already taken group theory might now recognize that what you have studied was that quadratic terms in the groups are required for making a transition in Raman. And now that we see that uh, so I'm going to discuss it in maybe next lecture, that the Raman effect depends on the change of the polarizability of the molecule. So now that we see the polarizability itself gives rise to this quadratic type of expressions. So any alpha pq is going to transform into something like p and q. Like you can write this at xy or yz something. So it transform in, so this polarizability element transforms into quadratic terms, which is the reason for the Raman effect. So I'll discuss that in next lecture, but maybe you can see this through this one. Okay, so that's it for the, okay, so before going, I'd like to explain it in some different manner also. So this is sum over existing states. So suppose this n0 is nothing but the ground state, and suppose alpha zz is like this. E0 minus em. So you can think of this whole expression like if your molecule was having many different levels. So I'm just drawing the levels, these are not to scale. Suppose this had many non-degenerate levels. Suppose this is 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. So this is what you can see is that z operates on 0 and takes it to m state, and again z operates on m and takes it to 0th state. So you can think it as that the moment is developed between, due to the electric field between different eigenstates of the molecule. That is it's kind of the distribution of the electron is changing due to this electric field, and due to which a moment is developed which gives rise to two different transitions, and these two different transitions are what results in quadratic terms, because one transition results in linear term, another linear term, and both of them combine to give a quadratic term. So this alpha zz is nothing but a measure of how much the electron is going to shift from inside a molecule from uh, like alpha zz is a measure of how much the electron distribution is going to shift between different states from one state due to an electric field along certain direction. So yeah, that's it. This Thank you. And if you have any doubts, or you want me to make some more videos on different topics that you didn't understand in this video, please comment below, and I'll be happy to answer your doubts. And the links for the previous video are given in the description, so if you don't understand anything, you may consider going back to those videos. Thank you, and let's meet again in the next video.